filed the report. In Burkina Faso, the government is urging citizens to report any abuses by security agents. The Ministry of Security, the Minister of Security, Mohamedou Sana, is also calling on the public to report any attempts at corruption. In a statement released on Monday, Minister Sana highlighted that some security agents are overstepping their authority and abusing their power at various checkpoints and on major highways. He expressed concerns about the abusive actions of lawmakers are detrimental to the population. The minister emphasized that such behaviors foster corruption and these practices are considered serious offenses under Burkina Faso's Penal Code. Crossing over to Togo, concerns over the crackdown on dissent continue to make headlines. A major case include activist rapper Amron, who regained his freedom on Saturday, June 21, 2025, after spending nearly a month at the Zebu Psychiatric Hospital in Aneho. He was arrested at his home on May 26, sparking widespread debate and protest over the motive behind his confinement. Augustine Colley reports.
Amron, known for his outspoken criticism of the government, was arrested at his residence on May 26 and subsequently confined to the Zebu Psychiatric Hospital, where he spent 4 weeks on observation and treatment. The first public image of the artist after his release shows him standing behind his lawyer, Councillor Celestine Agbogan. The photo, widely circulated on social media, quickly made rounds across Togo. According to his lawyer, gendarmes who carried out the arrest claimed Amron was mentally ill, which led to his forced hospitalization for what authorities called appropriate treatment. His family, legal team, and close associates rejected that claim from the onset, insisting the rapper had no history of mental health issues before his arrest. Irom had been taken into custody following his public criticism of the government. He was released a few days after issuing an apology via a video recorded from inside the psychiatry hospital, a move some believe was made under duress. His arrest sparked demonstrations in Lomé on June 6 as supporters demanded his release. Since then, calls for the resignation of Foreign Assembly, President of the Council of Ministers, have been added to the list of public demands. Further protests have been announced for June 26, 27, and 28 in Lomé and other parts of the country as tensions continue to rise.
Lomé's correspondent CV Wadrago's report presented to you by Augustine Colley.
Politics, analyses on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
West Africa is at a crossroad with political instability, economic challenges, and ongoing security threats grappling the region. Leadership at the sub-regional level has never been more critical. At the 67th Ordinary Session of ECOWAS Heads of State and Government held in Abuja, a significant transition took place. President Julius Maada Bio of Sierra Leone was appointed as the new chair of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, succeeding Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu. As President Bio takes the helm, expectations are high. He inherits a region facing serious test cases, from the ongoing withdrawal of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger from ECOWAS to concerns over terrorism, democratic backsliding, and economic disintegration. So, what does the new leadership change mean for West Africa, and what direction might ECOWAS take under the new chair? Joining us to unpack the implications is Austin Aigbe, Wademo's liaison officer, with insight into the regional's dynamics and what lies ahead of ECOWAS.
More like a positive and a negative externality in it. Because first is that you expect that President Tinubu ought to have transmitted power to a francophone country based on the tradition of ECOWAS. It was Ghana President Nana Akufo-Addo who transmitted then to Sisi Umbalo of Guinea-Bissau, and then from there to Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And you expect that Bola Ahmed Tinubu ought to have maybe gone back to the francophone country. But realistically, there is no francophone country at the moment. You will expect that this is a fellow. I don't want to sound so pessimistic. It's not for a form of insult. It is that President Faye, who was in a meeting, is a bit recent to the community as it were. You recall that part of the challenge that President Tinubu had was his newness, in quotes, to the community when he became the ECOWAS chair. So people argue that is newness to the blog, as it were, contributed to some of the, maybe a bit of a challenge that ECOWAS authority made at some point, particularly with Niger Republic, that maybe going with Faye being also new, the same thing with Ghana president, and of course Ouattara was not in that meeting, so there was no way to think about Ouattara. Togo president, the ceremonial president, was in the meeting, but it was just the ceremonial president. Mm-hmm. We know that it doesn't have the political cloud in country. So at the end of the day, the three countries have exited, and Benin is going for election in February next year. Mm-hmm. So automatically, going to Sierra Leone was more like a silver lining, a silver bullet, as it were.
Right. I mean, the split with Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger remains unresolved. Do you see any realistic path for reintegration under President Bio's leadership?
So I expect that President Bio, man of Bio, will use the same experience he used at home when he had issues with his election of June 2023, when the opposition political party literally backed out from participating in governance, and to all of that, and how the international community, including ECOWAS, had to come in to mediate. And now Sierra Leone is a bit headed towards a peace country, where opposition has returned, and the insecurity that used to be part of the system has stopped or has reduced, or the conflict, the attempted coup of September 2023, we have not had a recurrence of that since that peace deal. So arguably, the reason for the Sahel exit can be repeated using the same strategy as adopted in Sierra Leone. Mm-hmm. I am hoping, having also served as a military general, a brigadier general as it were, he may use his military experience to engage the folks in the Sahel states, engage them using the military language, and of course also using the political language to sway them.
Austin Aigbe is Wademo's liaison officer. And anytime you hear that whistle, it's time for sports, and Augustine Colley joins me with details. Augustine?
Good evening.
Good evening, Augustine. What's happening?
Okay, so Nigeria's Super Falcons are facing Portugal's senior women's national team in a high-profile international friendly in Lisbon as part of their final preparations for the 2025 CAF Women's Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco. The match, acknowledged by the Portuguese Football Federation, is currently ongoing with 26 minutes of play so far and 0 at peace. It is part of a week-long training camp designed to sharpen the Falcons' readiness ahead of the Continental Tournament, which begins in July this year. Meanwhile, English Premier League side Manchester City crushed Al Ain of the UAE 6-0 this Monday in the ongoing FIFA Club World Cup tournament taking place in the United States of America. Coming up at 7 p.m. tonight, Atletico Madrid of Spain will face Botafogo of Brazil, while French Ligue 1 champions PSG will clash with Seattle Sounders of the U.S. Major Soccer League. And that's the latest in the world of sports.
Thank you very much, Augustine. Well, unfortunately, Chelsea lost to Flamengo over the weekend, and they are being trolled. But all the same, this is where we end this edition of Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Mustafa Sek and Umudanyago for the technical assistance. Do interact with us via our social media platforms, X, formerly Twitter, Instagram at WADR.org, as well as Facebook WADR English Service. Coming up at the bottom of the hour is a repeat broadcast of our health program, Well Body, with Imo Edit. I am Christopher Ticho. Good evening, and enjoy the rest of our broadcasts.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, New Me FM 94.0,
Hilltop Radio 104.7 FM,
and Veritas Radio 102.9 in Banjul, the Gambia. We also appreciate our listeners in Liberia via Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Lofa County,
Radio Kaigama 94.5 FM, Nibe County, DCN Radio 91.3 FM, FM, Riverside County. Wakat FM Radio, Banga, Liberia. Radio Gulf FM 91.3 Sierra Leone.
For you listening via Radio Pad 95.1 Damango, Savannah region, and on Royals FM 104.7 Wenchi, Ghana, we say a big thank you. Remember, West Africa Democracy Radio is all about you.